But even in the UK, like you're working well, you get paid well.
Yeah.
But a lot, you wake up, you get on the train, you go to work, you come home, and you repeat.
I know.
In our home countries, a lot of times there's negativity around your idea. Like, I've got this great idea to do something.
God,
and someone's like, oh, I've tried that.
Understand you.
Well, like, you shouldn't do that. You're not going to make any money.
Because in my social cycle, no one is a freelancer, especially digital nomads, more or less than the freelancer. So there are very, very less people in Taiwan do these things. My parents don't trust me, and I also will keep self-questioning myself. But when I come here, I feel, wow, lots of people just like me, like quitting their job. It's not some special things, it's normal things here.
For instance, like I'm volunteering right now. Like you wouldn't think it has anything to do with design, but in my mind, I see design in everything, so especially user experience design. See how residents use the WhatsApp groups that we have.
Oh,
like their experience going through, or anything with process. For instance, you wanted to pay for a service, like let's say ice bath or something.
Okay.
Then you're like, what is the process? Where is this written down? What do I do? Where do I pay?
Exactly.
How do I pay?
Oh, that's the detail I didn't notice.
These are things that are always in my head. Me having more knowledge, background knowledge of how that maybe type of business work actually plays really well in my understanding. Then I can bring that into things, and it makes it easier for me to talk to people in that industry too.
Hello， 大家好，我是怕爆小姐，欢迎回到我们数游牧民族的访谈。那在这一系列里面呢，我希望可以让更多台湾的观众去了解到，说离开一般公司的体制之后，你还有什么样的方式可以赚钱，还有什么样的方式可以在这个社会上生存下来。这也是我非常好奇的问题之一，因为我在 co-living space 遇到了很多很棒的 digital nomads， 所以才有了这一系列的访谈。Let's welcome our today's guest.Sunil.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining my interview. Really appreciate. So could you please introduce yourself briefly, including your name, nationality, and your job title and field of work?
Sure. So I am Sunil Pithwa. I am from London, UK. And my field of work is UX designer, or some people call it product designer. And also emceeing events as well.
Was your earliest career or area of study related to what you do now?
No.
Oh, really?
My early career doesn't I feel like some parts of it relate to what I do now. But initially when I started university, I actually studied physics with specialization in astrophysics. After a while, and I changed into anthropology degree. So I did a degree in anthropology, which is the study of people and culture.
And you are more interested in, right?
Way more interested. Like, I mean, I love physics. It got to a point where the maths was too hard for me. My brain was exploding.
Me too. I cannot understand
it was like, whoa. Yeah, and so I had to change because I wasn't doing so well in it. My visa status was linked to my grades in the US. So I had to change, otherwise lose my visa. Years later, it took a long time to realize that design was the career that I wanted to be in and how to break into it. Until then, I did a lot of different other jobs, completely unrelated.
Okay.
Yeah, but with design, a lot of the experience from being a scientist or studying to be a scientist to doing anthropology to doing all those other little odd jobs all come together and actually help me be a better designer.
Because more experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How does your work operate? What does a typical day or week like for your job?
I guess right now I don't have a typical day. Every day is very different. But I can talk to you about maybe how my days were when I had like a full-on contract or a full permanent role.
Sure,
so a lot of times in UX, and you'll find this in development as well, we have a morning ceremony called stand-ups. We kind of talk to each other and we say like, what did we do yesterday? What are we doing today? And any kind of things we need to flag to the team, find out if there's anything extra we need to work on for that day. And just to prioritize everyone. After that, there may be some meetings that we need to go to. For some reason, a lot of my work is always a lot of meetings because people want to talk about design a lot. We go through these kind of processes to get things done. And then actually a small sliver of my time is actually in design software and just refining things.
I was an engineer also. Yeah, and we will also have a meeting in the morning to take everybody over what's the situation going on. what I need to do, like my supervisor will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems the same.
Yeah, it's a lot of like managing your own time as well. Yeah.
Sounds like UI designer don't need to talk too much to the users.
It depends. Depends.
Okay.
This is the big thing in UX. We always answer things with like, it depends. In some companies, yes. In some companies, no.
Okay.
In the places I've worked before, we try and bring the visual designer with us to talk to customers or to do interviews or get feedback and be in the same meetings. So we have the same knowledge, but we're coming from two different angles. Because it always helps to have another person's perspective on this, especially for another designer.
Oh, seems so complicated.
It is, yeah. It's very complex and it's very collaborative.
Yeah, because when I just quit my job last April, I don't have an idea to become a video editor at that time. And I was searching online, what kind of job can be remote and can also be a freelancer. So at that time, I searched about UI and UX designer, but it is too complicated to know the exact job between them.
Yeah, it's a really tough thing.
Close, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, like, depending on the company, depending on the job, depending on the project, there are times where you're more UX and there's times where you're more UI.
Okay. So maybe both UI and UX designer, their essential skills will be both communicate and software drawing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Got it.
There's many more, but I think those are the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's so many skills. Like active listening is another one. When you're interviewing a user or a customer, you want to let them talk to you about what's going on.
Yeah.
If you're testing a product, you want to listen to them. A lot of times when we're talking to someone or interviewing someone in that kind of scenario, we're already trying to formulate kind of maybe solutions, or we're trying to formulate what to say next. We're not actually sitting and listening. You sometimes miss things that a customer or user may say. If you record it, then it's a lot easier. In the moment, you need to know what kind of question to ask next, or maybe how to react to what they've told you, things like that. So it's something that helps a lot. It also helps just generally in business, in interviewing,
I think so.
Events. All these things kind of help out with everything.
Does being a UX designer require strong drawing skills, or at least just being good at framing concepts?
Yeah, I'd say framing concepts more than anything. You don't have to know, be really good at drawing things by hand. It's an exercise we do called Crazy Eights. So you draw 8 designs as fast as you can. Usually you get 4 minutes or something to draw 8 designs as fast as you can. Usually the people that can draw really well, they get maybe only two done. And the other people who I usually say at the beginning, or generally we say at the beginning as designers, we say it doesn't matter if you can't draw. If you can just draw a square or draw a line or draw a circle.
That's my level.
Yeah, but you can explain. If you draw a square and a line going through it, you can explain what this is, right? It doesn't matter that it's not visually representative. You're drawing your ideas out and you can explain those ideas. And it's the same thing when you're an actual designer, because you can draw things out, you can sketch it means something to you, you can explain it, but also you can put it into software. And all these things are designed so that you can take that square and you can color that square, you can do something else with it. So you don't need to really be able to draw the Mona Lisa or something to be a UX designer. Yeah.
Okay. What is the most rewarding or enjoyable aspect in your job?
I think the most rewarding part of my job or accomplishment is, to be fair, working with really talented people. So working with other designers, working with developers, we're all aiming for one goal, to create a good product at the end. And ideally that product will be helping people, or it's offering a service to customers that they want. And then the business is making money too. Which then pays our wages. So that's always nice. That's one part of the rewarding part. The other part is actually seeing people use it. So it might be an app in someone's hand. It may be a website. When it's a company that's well known, you might be walking down the road and you see someone on the app, and you're like, oh, I designed that. Yeah. Or you see someone on a website and they're using it. I think it's more of an ego thing. But the best is when the company has a big marketing budget and they put pictures of it on TV and on buses and on things. Because then you're walking to work and you're like, oh, I did that.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
So if someone wanted to enter your field, what advice would you give them?
Ask for help is one big one. Like as in like
don't just do yourself.
Yeah, like, not just do yourself. Like be okay with asking questions.
Okay.
Like designers to designers, we always want to help each other. We all started somewhere. We were all brand new on our job one day, right? So and none of us got here alone. So ask for help if you need it, right? Don't be too nervous about asking.
Okay.
Most designers will say yes to taking a call, send a message, anything like that. You know, if anyone's listening, you can message me. I don't mind. I'm very open about it.
Okay. Instagram here.
LinkedIn here, Instagram here. But yeah, I think that's number one for sure. Like be okay with asking for help. It doesn't make you less of a designer to ask for help. We all need help. Even when we're high up in design and things like that, we all need help. It's constant learning. So keep learning, keep doing things, keep learning, take different projects, do silly volunteer things that I do, do events, whatever works for you. And I think, the other one is be okay with your design not being right. Be okay with
just as you
changing
said.
things and iterating.
If I don't have any professional skills before, but I still want to be a UX designer, so what kind of skills? Like Figma or some software.
Figma is really accessible. It's free software.
Yeah.
You only need to pay for it once you start adding on more files. But you can run it for free, and when you join a company, you'll get a company account. So that's fine. Figma is great for doing that. There's so many YouTube free resources to learn how to use Figma, to understand the basics of UX design. There's a lot of free things out there. So I always tell people, don't spend any money if you don't have to, especially when you're starting. Obviously, I didn't do that because this was 10 years ago. It's slightly different. So now there's so much more resource available.
Exactly.
You know, even if you do have to pay for something, check the reviews on the course. Don't spend gigantic amounts of money. There's some really, really good courses online, like on Udemy, on Coursera, on all these types of sites that don't cost a lot to take a course, or you can even do a monthly subscription and then you get unlimited courses, which is kind of cool. And on those things, you can learn the software, you can learn the theory, you can learn so much. And there's so many great kind of instructors on these things. There's also instructors who do things separately as well. So there's a friend of mine who also does one as well. His name is Joe Natoli. He runs something called UX 365, I think. He's a very good designer. He's been in the industry for ages. He teaches some great courses as well. And he prices it so it's accessible to people. Because a lot of times these boot camps, like what I went through, they've raised their costs over the years. They raise them to such a high degree that it limits who can get into design. Because you need to be able to afford these big fees to do this course. But really with design, you can bring in your own experience. You can learn from these courses. And you can learn from doing the projects with companies. You can learn from other designers as well. Definitely, like if you've got the option of doing a course, go for it. If that's what you want to do, that's your learning style, do it. If you're in university and you've got the option of learning UX, and that's what you want to do, go for it. But there's so many other things. Let's say you're already past university, maybe you had a career in something else and you're switching. There's lots of different resources to find out, to learn about it, but also to find out if it's right for you. Because a lot of times people think they're going to be like, oh, I want to be a designer, UX, it sounds great. Then you start doing it and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I'm actually more of a developer. Maybe I'm more of UI. Almost like how we both went to college, university. You went with chemical engineering, I went with physics.
Exactly.
And now you're doing video editing, I'm doing design.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah, so we might go in with an idea of UX, but we might come up with something else. But
yeah, that's true.
The main message here is don't spend too much money early on.
Got it.
You can spend it later on when you're making money. But like early on, don't fall into too many traps of like spending lots on a course and expecting to have a job at the end. It takes a lot more work.
Got it. Okay, thank you for your advice.
No problem.
Okay, and so how about speaker? How many years have you been?
So I've been like emceeing and like moderating events for I think 8 years now.
Oh,
Varied amounts per year, but I think it's roughly like just under 100 events now, and it's a bit crazy. So big events, like 1,000 people in the audience, and I'm the MC for the whole day, introducing.
like talk show?
Yeah, kind of like introducing speakers. So it'll be the beginning of the day, and I'm like, hey, welcome to this conference. Like, we're doing this, and we've got amazing speakers for you, and blah, 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 blah,
In the UK?
In the UK,
Okay.
But also internationally as well.
Okay.
So my job is to basically make sure that the audience are informed of what's about to happen, and they're ready for a new talk, and the energy is going. But also, I'm giving that speaker a good intro, so they're ready to do their talk as well. So they've got a good intro and a good start, because the last thing you want is like, and the next speaker is this person.
No, we don't want that, right?
Yeah, you want to give them a little energy, and you want to talk to them beforehand, and you want to make sure they're doing okay, and anything they need, they've got. So they do a great talk, and that's good for them, but also for the audience as well.
And what inspired you to become a speaker?
I used to go to a lot of events, and I saw people talking and introducing people, and I noticed how much of an effect that made. I think the first time I got asked to do it was by a friend of mine. On the day of his wedding, he asked me to MC his wedding. So the reception time, when people are having their dinner and they're doing speeches, he's like, I need someone to like introduce us as a couple, introduce like the speeches. He's like, I want you to do it, because I think you'd be good. You used to do some sort of radio thing a long time ago. Like, I want you to do it. And I'm like, well, it's your wedding. I can't say no. You're like a brother. Of course. Whatever you need. And I hadn't done that before. So I was scared.
Very
and I
nervous.
did it. I had a good time. People gave me good feedback.
Oh, nice.
From then, I just started doing more.
Ooh, wow, so it's very nice.
Yeah. And especially in the design community, because I'd come in from non-traditional way, like I hadn't gone to university for design. I hadn't been a graphic designer and then gone UX.
Okay.
I'd completely career changed from working in an Apple store to then being a designer. I wanted something to differentiate myself from the other designers. So for me, that was because I'd done these events. I was like, oh, there's loads of design events. They need hosts. So I was like, okay, well, I can do that too. And if people see me on stage, then when I go in for an interview for a job, they may have already seen me or heard about me. Gives me like a little bit of competitiveness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you think the job of speaker also be helpful for the UX designer?
Oh, absolutely. It also helps both sides, actually. As a speaker, I'm talking to audiences and people like that. And then that helps me then talk to users and customers and businesses. Also because I'm working with a business usually that's running an event. I'm talking to business leaders. I'm talking to very high-profile speakers, sometimes CEO of big business, something like that. And then when I come back to my work, I'm then talking to my stakeholders, and I have the right language to talk to them in.
Yeah, exactly.
And also confidence, too.
Every road you have experienced on your life makes who you are now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the little things all come together to form like what I'm doing. But also I'm doing little things now, too. So I don't know where that's going to go.
Is this your first time as a digital nomad? What inspired you to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle for the first time?
So I guess I've been a digital nomad for about a year now. My initial kind of want to do it was another path of life.
Yeah.
So I could rent an apartment in the UK. I could buy a house. But these are the only two things I was seeing for a long time. And then my rent got raised by a lot of money. So I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be really expensive. So I was like, oh, you know what? I have some money and I will get a mortgage because the mortgage rate was lower than rent. And it would have been somewhere way out of central London. It would have been outside somewhere that I could afford. But I was like, okay, I buy a house and then everything's good. And then the mortgage rates went up as well. What's my third option? And I was a very privileged position to be in, that my parents didn't live too far away. So I said, okay, I'm going to come back home, figure out what I need to do. And that's when digital nomading came up as a third option of life. And that's when I tested out staying in Chiang Mai last year. So for me, it was a test of a different way of life. I think maybe different from other nomads that may be younger, maybe, or different economics. Like, I didn't mind spending money as long as it wasn't astronomical. And the way that rent and mortgage had been going in the UK at that time, it was getting crazy. It was too expensive for what it was. Just because of the market. Inflation was part of it. And when a lot of people are looking for housing and there's not enough housing, then the landlords can raise their rent. So it became very expensive to do that. By going nomad, I just had a rule that as long as it's not as the same price as rent in the UK, then I'm fine. So I don't mind spending up to a certain point.
You have lots of budget. You're in Thailand.
Yeah. And then you can do lots of different things. But also, when I came to Thailand, I didn't stay at the cheapest place I could. I almost came to stay at the most expensive place. I came to stay at a co-living, co-working that is not the cheapest co-living, co-working. But it's at the quality level I wanted. And my only thing on that was like, I need to be able to work. I need to be able to live somewhere. And because I was working UK hours, I needed to finish at a late time and get back to my room. I didn't want to travel across town from a co-working to a hotel to an Airbnb.
Yeah, so far.
And when I looked at all the pricing for everything, I was like, oh, this is just a little bit less than rent in London.
Oh, really?
Let's do it. Okay. Like at my previous rent.
Okay.
So I was like, let's do it.
Okay,
let's go.
Let's do it.
So I've now found that third path. Doing the nomad thing was a little bit unknown because I hadn't done it during working and doing it. I definitely moved a lot when I was a kid, so I've been moving my whole life. So it wasn't as scary. But actually creating my own business and contracting through a business and being responsible was like, oh, what am I going to do? So a lot of learning and a lot of, paying accountants.
So what do you think is the biggest attractive things of the digital nomad lifestyle?
I think freedom. Freedom from those paths, like I said, in the UK. My only paths were rent or buy. Now the third path is a new path. That's the most attractive thing for me as a digital nomad, that I now have the freedom to explore a different path. I can travel when I want to. Like, for instance, I'm in Chiang Mai right now. With the visa I have, I'm allowed to be here for 6 months.
Oh, you have
DTV.
nomads. Oh, nice, nice.
So I'm allowed to be here 6 months at a time. If I go to, let's say, I go to Bansko, which is where I'll probably end up in the summertime. Within Schengen, I can spend 3 months there. If I go to, let's say, Vietnam, I think it's 45 days I can spend there. So I can spend time in different places, which is really cool.
Then go back.
And then go back to Chiang Mai, Yeah, I love it here, so this is why I keep returning.
In the places full of these attractions, for example, here, you have lots of events and activities you can join. Yeah. Or if you are in a tourist spots, how do you stay focused and manage your time?
So I stay focused generally I have a to-do list that I have every day.
Every morning?
Every morning, some point. I'm not very structured on it.
Okay.
But I do write my tasks in there. So I'll generally write some tasks in there. Some are to do today, some are just generally that I'll do. But I also have like pinned ones at the top. So there's a course I'm doing. So I have that at the top. So these are my daily things. I change for every country as well. It's like, so for Thailand, it's eat congee and have coffee. And so I have that every morning. At some point in the morning, I kind of look at my thing and I go, oh yeah, I've had breakfast, I've had congee, I've had tea. And then, I've actually looked at that course already. Okay, cool, boom. And so it feels like I've done something, right? Because every day you're gonna have breakfast or tea. So it feels good to know that you pressed something, basically. That's my daily routine. It depends on the type of work I'm doing. So at the moment, I'm volunteering for this festival, Nomad Summit. Part of that is arranging the speakers for a panel and understanding more about some of the speakers I need to announce. So I'll work a little bit on that kind of things.
So you stay focused and manage your time. The method is listed to the list. Yeah,
for me, like that just shows me the tasks I need to do. I'm quite loose with my time. Like I'm quite chaotic with my time. A lot of people are way more rigid with their time, and they go like, I've got an hour to do this. I've got an hour to do that. For me, I like to be a lot more open. When I was in a company in a job, every hour is scheduled. Like at this time you have a meeting, that time you have a meeting, this time you have a meeting. And it's like, oh, like it's too much, or like it's good, but if you're managing your own time, you can do it without having to write everything down. So obviously there's things I do put in my calendar still.
Okay.
But I try to also be open to changing things around.
Okay, so you just setting the task.
Yeah, I set a task and I figure out time.
Okay, got it. Do you have specific advice to those just starting their digital nomad journey?
I think being open to new experiences is a big one. So it's always good to be safe in what you want to do, but also be open to other people. So especially like we're in a co-living right now. And when I went to the co-living last year, there were things that people wanted to do that I never even thought about. So some people wanted to go rock climbing. Some people wanted to go see elephants in the jungle and go through a hike in the jungle. I'm like, in the back of my head is like, I want to see elephants, but I don't want to go for a hike in the jungle. That sounds dangerous to me. But I'm traveling. I've been given this experience, an opportunity. If I just say no to these things, then I'm not learning anything. So the most I can do is go try it. So I tried it. I had a lot of fun. I got to see some elephants. They were great. We got a hike through a jungle, and I can say I've done that. Would I do it again? Maybe not. the hiking part through the jungle.
Okay.
But at least I can say I tried it. Whereas if I just listened to myself, I wouldn't have even tried.
Okay, you will lose the experience.
Yeah, so I think being open to new experiences, being open to other people, their ideas of things. Sometimes it even comes down to food. Like,
food?
Yeah, because you got so many different people from different cultures.
Oh, yeah.
And also you're in a place with a different culture.
Yeah.
So their food is very different from the food we have back home. You know, for instance, you can go to the market. Sometimes they're selling insects and things, right? And this is what some people eat here. So why not try it?
I can't. I'm so scared to eat it.
They're tasty. A little hot sauce.
Oh my God. Maybe I need some friends to try with me.
Maybe we do it together.
Seriously?
I've only had it once, so maybe we do it again.
Oh, wow.
Oh, maybe we can make this an event. Let's go eat bugs.
You mean next family meeting?
Yeah. We're going to go to the market and eat bugs.
If there's lots of people accompanying with me to eat, one person need to bite one. Yeah,
just one. Or maybe
I can do it.
Yeah. Or maybe we find a restaurant. Or we find a restaurant find a restaurant where they cook with it.
Oh yeah,
and it's got good reviews. Then you could so many different options, right?
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Open to opportunity.
That's a perfect idea. So why do you love Chiang Mai so much?
Thai people are probably some of the most friendliest people I've ever known. They're the most accepting people, and there's no judgment, and it's a very positive environment to be in. Obviously, there's beautiful weather, there's beautiful food that everyone talks about all the time, but for me, it's the people. It's the Thai people, it's the Thai culture. In Chiang Mai, if you have an idea for something, there are a lot of digital nomads around, there's a lot of Thai people around that are willing to help you with that idea, or are willing to be part of that idea and make it happen. And even if it fails, you still made the idea happen. And you could be doing this in a week, you could be doing it in a month. But still, the opportunity is here to do it. Whereas in our home countries, a lot of times there's negativity around your idea. Like, I got this great idea to do something. God, and someone's like, oh, I've tried that.
Understand you.
Yeah, I've tried this, it doesn't work. Or like, we shouldn't do that, you're not going to make any money. Whereas in Chiang Mai, it's like, you have an idea, like, yeah, cool, do it.
Yeah.
What do you need? You need space? Yeah, have the space. Come, we'll do it together.
Oh,
simple.
Wow.
Even if it doesn't work.
Yeah, because in my social cycle, no one is a freelancer. And even though in Taiwan, freelancer is very less. And especially digital nomads, more or less than the freelancer. So there are very, very less people in Taiwan do these things. And so like my parents don't trust me. And my friends, some of them support me, but I think most of them have no idea what I'm doing now. And I also will like keep self-questioning myself because I'm in that environment. No one have the succeed experience for like being a freelancer or digital nomad. But when I come here, I feel, wow.
Yeah.
I find lots of people just like me, like quitting their job. It's not a like some special things. It's normal things here. I can deeply understand what you said, but I also think about if I like this co-living or I like Chiang Mai. You know? Yeah, because this is my first time to Chiang Mai and I only live here. I'm not sure if put me to live anywhere else in Chiang Mai, will I also have such good experience as well? Yeah.
The only way to do is test.
Yeah, test.
Yeah.
When you mention this point, I can deeply understand. Yeah. And I also think that when I under this experience, successful property will hire. Because there are lots of similar people here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
really
like
encourage me.
And if you have an idea or like you're doing something, people want to support you.
Yeah, like no
like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
like we're doing right now.
No mass interview.
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just like no mass interview.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, it's very touched.
Yeah, me too.
好，那这视频就到这边啦。希望这样的内容可以帮助你了解到更多 UX designer 的工作过程，也让你了解到说当 digital nomad 需要注意到什么事情。如果你喜欢这样内容的话，请记得订阅、按赞，对我来说会有非常大的帮助。
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Oh, and comment too.
And follow Miss Overscared. 那今天影片就到这边啦，我是泡泡小姐，我们下次见，拜拜。Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh, nice.